This is NewHampshireCrossCountry.com, powered by Runner's Alley. These lovely people were gracious enough to let me back for some strange reason I don't understand. But we are sponsored by Demerit Hills Haunted Overload. And, man, we got some good rankings today. We had the MOCs, crazy fast times, ridiculous. When I was looking at the results, I almost dropped my phone. It was ridiculous. So we're going to go through that. We're looking forward to New England's next week. Should be snowy in Wickham, a course that's a lot like Dairyfield. And we're going to get right into it and talk about the season. Unbelievable so far.
The committee based this week's rankings entirely on the MOC's order of finish. Things could change after New England's this week for the top 6 teams, which are all competing. But tonight is solely based on MOCs and pumping everyone up for New England.
Yep.
And to start things off, I have a question for everyone.
Let's go.
What was your favorite moment from this past weekend? And I'm going to say Aiden Cox's stupid fast 15-17 as a freshman.
Yeah.
My performance of the week would be Weekend's third MOC win in 4 years, which is extremely impressive.
This might be a little biased, but I think my performance of the week has to be myself with a 4:44 first mile. I think I'm going to take responsibility for some fast time.
Big PR. Attaboy.
Yeah.
For my most impressive performance, I'm going to say Jake Velasquez win in a time of 15:13, which is the third fastest time ever on Mines Falls for MOCs.
All right. For my most impressive performance, I'm going to say Carter Sylvester picking up the slack for some of the not the greatest performance for some of the Co-Brown boys, but he picked it up. He really did a good job.
Got to give it to Kata. But so for my impressive performances, I'm going to go with underclassmen in general. Looking at it, there was only 7 seniors in the top 25. Which is extremely unique, but specifically we're looking at Cox, Gandini, and Khalil. 3 of the top 9 times in the entire country were run in Nashua, New Hampshire, and that doesn't happen that much. And so when it does happen, you got to look at that and really think about it. Great future for those guys and all of the state, really, because these underclassmen are just ridiculous, and the seniors too. But I mean, looking at that, 3 in the top 9 is just that's ridiculous.
So starting with the girls' rankings. So number 10 is Nashua South, led by Callie Coffin, who placed 10th at MOCs, who has returned to form along with her teammate Megan Conway. The team moved up into the top 10 after a great performance last weekend at their home course.
Number 9 is Bedford, who once again was led by Carly Rinko, who placed 18th in a time of 18:57. She was followed by teammate Caitlin Bowles, who got 33rd in a time of 19:26. And their 3, 4, and 5 were not far behind.
8th this week was Hopkinton, who had a solid pack race last weekend, led by Emma Roth, and not far behind her, Hannah Bennett and Anna O'Reilly.
Number 7 is Merrimack Valley, with both Sophias qualifying to New England's, placing 8th and 9th. Sophia Rubinchek got a time of 18:25, and Sophia Reynolds got a time of 18:27. They were followed by Emma York, who placed 43rd in a time of 19:42, and their 4 and 5 were with Emma.
Coming in at 6th this week was Keene, who took the last team spot for New England. They ran a full strength, led by Michaela Randall, who was 11th at MOCs.
Number 5 is Co-Brown with an extremely impressive performance considering they were missing one of their top runners, Addison Cox. They were led by Abigail O'Connor, who placed 12th in 18:38, and freshman Sheldon Fisher, who placed 20th in a time of 19.
Number 4 was Exeter, who ran a very strong race to qualify for next weekend and had a very strong top 5 pack led by Allie McFarland and Grace Mercier.
Number 3 is Concord, who is coming off an extremely impressive performance at D1s, getting first for their first title since 2003. They were led by They were led by Morgan Orcutt, who got 14th in a time of 1844, Molly Nyhan, who got 21st in 1901, and then had three other girls, Alexis Christie, Sophie Hopkins, and Catherine Kennedy, who were also up there.
Roll Tide, baby.
Coming in at number 2 was Bishop Girton. So Caroline Fisher won the race in 1755, along with Caroline Toll in third, the time of 1802, with another BG runner, Mary Kate Finn, in the top 25.
Number 1 was Sauhegan, who got their third MOC title in 4 years. They were led by Chloe Trudell, the sophomore, who got second in a time of 17:59, and then Georgia Jones and Mackenzie Hayden, who got fourth and fifth, both in a time of 18:11. What's really impressive about their team is that their 4 and 5 were so close and that their pack time was pretty close. So Masho Primer got 28th and Audrey Littlefield got 53rd to close out their top 5.
All right. Instead of sleeper teams this week, we're going to do performances to watch at New England's. And I'm going to go with Sauhegan girls. I think they're going to be the top New Hampshire team after taking second, fourth, and fifth at MOCs.
My team, I think everyone should watch out for is Bishop Girton because of both Carolines, and they have another runner in the top 25. And if they can get their 4 and 5 runners to move up, they could place very high at New England's.
My performance that I'm excited for has to be the Concord girls because they're racing at Wickham and they won the championship race at Wickham Invite. So I think that's going to get them like prepared for the New England race like very well, and I think they'll succeed.
I'm gonna go with the Concord girls as well, just because Wickham's course is very like Dairyfield, and they had an extremely impressive performance on Dairyfield, and their pack time is just so close that they just feed off of each other and work together. So I think if they continue that dynamic leading into New England's, then they should have a really good performance.
My sleeper to do really well at New England is going to be Merrimack Valley's both Sophias. They were 8th and 9th for New Hampshire last weekend, so I believe that they are going to finish quite high at the New England level. So we'll look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn here. I want to say Concord's girls. A little bit biased, like Rory was before. I'll have my share of bias. But the thing about it is them having experience at Wickham, like Rory said, is huge. And the pack time is really big. But on the flip side of things, looking at Sauhegan's top 3 sticks, having 3 in the top 5 like that, especially at a race like New England's, can win the race just off of that. And I know there's some big teams. The Champlain Valley's really good this year, and but I'm really interested on see how Sauhegan's going to mix it up in those top the podium level at New England, especially with having 3 really low sticks like that.
All right, switching over to the boys' side, at number 10 we have Hanover. They had a really good meet this past weekend. It doesn't seem like they benefit from a super low number like most teams in the top 10 do,
yeah.
But their pack time 1 through 5 was 19 seconds, which is just crazy. So I think that makes up for their no like top runner. So
haven't like Hanover, I feel like in the last 5 years definitely, or at least the time I was in high school, it seems like they've gotten better and better, and their pack time is really tight. And that's a team that has a lot of team chemistry, and I think that's definitely a part that goes with it. Those two have co-evolved in their team chemistry and how close they are together. And yeah, not having a top guy per se isn't always a bad thing. And there's been tons of teams like Bishop Hendricken last year. They were 4th in the country. They didn't really have a top guy per se, but they had a good pack. And in years past, sometimes that works. And so if Hanover gets training and they get, just team working and put in some work, they could be a scary team if you keep that pack time up and you just progressively get faster. It's not a bad way to be.
Yeah, and when you're in a pack like that, it's like once one person gets better, like everybody's gonna get better when you're that close knit.
Yep.
All right, for number 9 position, they've been flip-flopping with Hanover all season. It's Wyndham. They've been flip-flopping between the 9 and 10 position. They were led by Rohan Rise, low number at Meet a Champion. So he will continue on to New England's, but the team sadly won't. They finished off the year in the 9th position, which is pretty good.
It's great.
Yeah.
And coming in at number 8, we have Nashua North, who was 8th last week. They're led by our very own Rory Curran, who I think got a little mixed up in what race as he ran the fastest mile of his life. So he's really playing for the fast times this past weekend. But overall, strong season from Nashua.
Love it.
All right, burn. But at number 7, we have Winnicunnet, who's led by Colin Donnelly, Noah Terracina, and Jack Taylor, who, I don't know. They're just great pack. They're just a great pack.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they always race well together, so I think Colin and Noah are just going to have a good weekend next weekend.
Yep. And then they just narrowly missed, but let's see our top 6.
Coming in at number 6, we have Londonderry, who snagged the last spot to New England's. They're led by freshman Sean Clegg and also Matt Griffin. And I think they were 3rd last week, but I think they're looking to really put on a strong performance next weekend against the other New Hampshire teams. And
and a couple things with that is Londonderry, as we saw New Hampshire Cross Country post a little while ago, Londonderry's the longest active streak, and them getting 6th maintains that streak, and I'm sure that they all had a big to keep that streak going. And you really got to look at it and give big props to Sean Clegg because, man, being a freshman and running that fast, he's getting overshadowed a little bit by Cox, Gandini, and Khalil. But, man, he ran, just comparing to myself and Jeffrey Allen and all these guys from my year when I was a freshman, 45 seconds faster than I did. And you take those guys out, he probably has the fastest freshman time ever. So, Sean, we did not forget about you. That is unbelievable performance. Leading a team is not an easy thing to do, especially as a freshman, especially making New England's, and that's huge. So, big shout out to him.
All right. Another team that made it to New England's is Oyster River. They are led by Andy O'Brien's 11th place finish at Meet a Champion. They seem to always have a way to make it into Meet a Champion or to New England's. They always run well at Meet a Champs.
Fast.
Number 4, we have Keene, who's led by the state champion Jake Velasquez. I think he kind of overshadows the rest of their team a little bit. They're still like a very, close-knit team still, even with just like a super low number all the time. So I think, upcoming at New England's, they're going to do really well because I know Jake's going to run really well, and the rest of their team's going to, want to follow.
Yeah, and looking at that, another guy worth mentioning, Torrin Kindot, just a sophomore running that fast. And with him was Tyler Sheedy of Dover. I'm just mesmerized on how fast that these underclassmen, freshman, sophomore, are running. And so Torrin Kindot, that's huge, running so fast. Love to see it.
And coming in at number 3, we have Concord.
All right, Eddie, come on, buddy.
Not too much has changed since Forrest has left. They're led by Evan Bragg and fellow junior Braden Kearns. They had a really good race this past weekend, coming in at 15:35. And they've really been turning it on towards the end of the season here. And I think they're looking to put on a really strong performance here at New England's this upcoming.
I love that, Eddie. Probably win, right?
I think they may be a big upset over Cobra.
Yeah, I think definitely 15 points at New England. So let's go, boys.
All right. At number 1, yet again.
Wait. I gotta do the Pinkerton. Yeah, it's all good. Number 2 is Pinkerton moving up from 4th place. They got second place over Concord by only 2 points. They were led by sophomore Luke Brennan, and Stephen Connolly, and Nolan Preble. They all got in the 15, so that's really impressive when just your top 3 get in the 15. So shout out to them. That was a really good race.
Good for you, Pinkerton. Good for you.
Now we're at number 1 with O Brown. What can you say? They're just like, they're nasty. It didn't seem like they had their best weekend this weekend. Still, they still just wiped the floor a little bit.
Yeah.
All 5 of their scorers broke 16 with a team average of 15.44. And if I do my math correctly, that's faster than Concord's 2017 team average.
Did you carry the 1?
That puts them at the number 4 Northeast team, which is just, something to be proud of. They're led by Aiden Cox, a freshman, which is just ridiculous. That's exciting for the future. And followed Carter Sylvester, our top commenter, followed him with a 15.41. He really stepped up for them this weekend. So, congrats.
Yeah. And I think the other thing worth mentioning is, even though Luke Kasich stopped and tied his shoes, laid down, took a nap, tripped and fell, went sledding, took a swim in the canal there, they still came up and ran fast, and he still broke 16. So look at it, and if you think about it, they had, Luke and Dawson didn't have their best performances, and they still broke the record. And it is scary to think how fast those guys could have gone and will go next weekend, because I know I've trained with them a couple times besides Luke. They're all tough. And when it's coming to a snowy, tough Wickham course, scary, and it's not that smart to bet against Cobra. So, boys, keep it going, and I'm putting my chips on the table for you guys.
We're going to try to prove ourselves this weekend at New England.
603, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Love it.
All right. We actually have a few things in the chat that were pretty notable. One of the things is that Aiden Puffer is not running at New England. And also another question is, will Velazquez be able to hang with Gavin Sherry and Robbie Cozy? So what do you guys think?
The thing about that, Velazquez is very good. He is. I'm thinking top 5 in New England, top 3 maybe. But Gavin Sherry, in my eyes, could end up being the best runner from New England, in maybe ever. That kid,
yeah, he was second last year, so
and which is the top by freshman ever. So I don't think he can beat those two. And Robbie Kozian's a national champion, but I do think he could nab that 3rd spot. And being top 3 in New England's is nothing to snuff at. But those top 2 are, and it's their course. Being in Connecticut,
yeah,
it would take a lot of magic to beat them. But it's possible.
I have something to say. I think I kind of disagree with you because when I talk to Jake, I don't even think he knows who these people are. He has this advantage where he's he doesn't even know these top runners. He just runs his own race. He doesn't even care about his competition. And I think that, puts a super big advantage on him because your race team does really scary runners like Robbie Kosian and Gavin Sherry, but like I think if he runs his own race, he can. He has a shot like just like them.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a shot. And then there's other guys too to mention, like the LaSalle boys, McLaughlin, Demuco, even the Bishop Hendricken got a couple guys like Hensler. And when it's gonna be, if it is snowy, it kind of throws everything out the window and says who wants it bad, and that's where again I think Gavin Sherry wants it pretty bad, but Jake Velasquez, I mean, that might be his ticket. Is just how bad you want it, and how it might end up being who can stay on their feet.
Well,
Yeah.
talking to Jake after the race, like during the interviews and everything, it seems like he does have like really big goals for this race and is focused on getting in the top 3. Like that's what he said that his goals like were. And obviously last year in New England, he did have a very impressive performance. But one thing about him is that he kind of feeds off of his like competition and who's in front of him. So like at MOCs, he fed off of like Rory, I gotta say, like your first mile, like he fed off of it and he used it to his advantage and took off from there. So I just think that he could use those guys in front of him and use it to his advantage and like achieve like what he wants to get.
He did say that he wants to say that he's trying to get New England's champion, but he also said that he doesn't want to say that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think he kind of was saying that he wants to by making that statement.
Yeah, he's got a shot.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it happen, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you always do, and we're going to be rooting for him. Just like we're going to be rooting for the Co-Brown boys. They got another. It's not cut and dry. It's uphill battle. They got LaSalle. That's a top 5 team in the United States, which is a pretty scary thing to think about. But at the line, it's tied, so anything can happen on any given day. But LaSalle, Bishop Hendricken, and Brown is probably the teams to watch. I think Staples is pretty good, and or Tolland from Connecticut's is pretty good.
We were up against them at Wickham. They were second place. They were not far behind us actually.
Yeah, and it's anything can happen postseason, but like we said before, 603 we're a brotherhood, and so we're all going to be pulling for the members of the team here.
Yep. Yeah, I do know one thing is that we were fortunate enough to go to Wickham Invitational early this year to like kind of preview the course, and I'm not sure that LaSalle has seen it in quite a few years, so that could maybe be an advantage if you want to say that.
Absolutely could.
Yeah.
The whole thing about it with that course is getting out, really. Yep. In my experience with it, and LaSalle's pretty good at getting out. That's how they won New England's last year. Is they just got out, and it was kind of a similar, just really muddy and gross race that the teams that get out and the individuals that get out are going to be there, because it's pretty hard to make up ground when the course is so muddy and ripped up. And that is if the course is ripped up. Weather can change. It's New England weather, but I think a big thing with New England's and in championship racing in general is getting out and racing tough.
Yeah. I think that's the thing about Wickham with my experience is that it's like a very tricky course. Like I've never really been able to like feel it out because it's like super like not like a normal cross country course. Like it's very like has a lot of divots, and like if you've never been there before, it's like a whole new experience, I feel like.
True.
Like how I would explain it is like you can't really get your footing that well, and it's just like a lot of unexpected hills that are just really hard. So I think it definitely puts a team that has been there to like a huge advantage.
Yeah, and ending on an uphill, and that's what that uphill actually is something that's very nice to have in the back of your mind. So it's a big advantage. Eddie, what do you think?
You know what? Kind of steering back. I'm going. I don't know. I still think what I'm looking forward to most this weekend is how like Cobra gonna do.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see what Carter does. Luke, to see if you rebound too. Also to see how Aiden does just as a freshman.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
he is absolutely insane. And wait, Aiden Puffer's a freshman, right? Too.
No,
Yeah.
he's a sophomore.
He's a
Oh, no.
sophomore.
Right, yeah.
He's not.
Well, he's not racing
running
anyway. Yeah.
But the thing with Cox is like that's a perfect course. If you could draw up a perfect course for him, that might be it. And we saw like even last year as an 8th grader, what he did at NXR.
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say he popped off.
He popped off. And now he's a freshman. He's got experience. He just ran 15-17. He's the top freshman in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. I really think that he could possibly be the top guy for New Hampshire next week, and he's also fighting for a top 3, top 5 spot. It really is, and he might have the best chance for New Hampshire to be in that top 3, just because of how the course is set up and the momentum he's going to have, and being light and fast and strong is going to really benefit him. So I'm very curious to see as well.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot because I feel like we've been seeing Jake run for 4 years and like we know exactly what he can do.
Yep.
But
Exactly. Yeah.
when you're a freshman, like you can just like PR by like 30 seconds and like it's totally normal.
You got a clean slate. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like going into MOCs, we didn't even really have him in the top 3, and then he comes out second. So
Yeah.
Anything can happen. That's the beauty of it. Ladies, we got anything to add or what?
No, I don't think so. For me, at least.
I think also you could look out for the Oyster River boys. They had a little bit of a shaky state in MOCs, but they typically can bounce back and see what they can do.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so hey, we can close this thing out, and but first, I just want to really give my props to all of you guys, and it's not easy doing this and talking in front of a camera, and especially when you know all the people watching and saying what you got to say, but you guys do a great job, and I really hope this tradition continues, and then as the alumni list gets bigger, we can all come back and continue these rankings. I think big props to Runner's Alley for putting this on. It's really nice of them, and Haunted Overload is just, again, very scary, and I may or may not have wet my pants, but I'm not going to mention that. I just did. But the big thing to say is we just want to give a shout out to New Hampshire Cross Country, all the followers, and I want to say personally good luck to all of you, and represent 603. Like I said, we're a brotherhood, and we're all members of it. So I really hope we can represent and beat these other states. But until next time, these are the rankings.
Thanks, Forrest. One thing. People are wondering what's up with your hair, Rory.
Yeah, what is that?
I know. I had might have shed a tear when I was getting it cut, but it had to be done, unfortunately.
Looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
See you down in Connecticut.
Yeah. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.